Bienvenidos to
Merendiando!
part of Radio Luna Theater.
Our guests this week are the hosts of the Nostalgique podcast, Abba Amuquandoh and Ben Sosa Wright.
Ava is an actress, writer, stand-up comedian, and a sketch performer. She's a member of the all-black ensemble sketch troupe called the Untitled Black Sketch Project, and you can see her in the latest season of This Hour Has 22 Minutes.
Ben is a stand-up comedian, writer, and improviser from Toronto, and a self-identified Taurus icon. Ben was named a Canadian Comedian to Watch by the CBC, and you can catch Ben all over the Sonar Podcast Network. And also, if you want to laugh, you should totally follow him on his TikTok. Both of their bios and social media handles will be in the show notes.
Nostalgique is a podcast where Ben and Ava reminisce about, and sometimes drag, the pop stars of your youth. If you love pop, nostalgia, and kicking, then this is the podcast for you.
In this episode, we talked about nostalgia, why gossip is life-giving, the most shocking celebrity fact they've learned while doing their podcast, and they also gave us some extremely quality comedy advice.
I was fortunate to be a guest on their show a few weeks ago where we talk about Selena Quintanilla, la reina.
It's so good.
If you want to listen to that episode, there is a link in the show notes. And now, let's get into it. Hola, Ava and Ben. We're so excited to have you here in Merendiando. I tried to do a nostalgic chat.
Let's try.
That was
1,
really
2,
good.
3. Merendiando.
Yes, go on.
It sounds perfect.
It sounds perfect.
Definitely more on key than me singing Nostalgique.
Oh, me too. Yes.
Love it.
Oh my god, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. So Abba and Ben, we normally like to just, warm up into this kind of podcast, this interview that we do with everyone. But you know what? We're not doing that today because we really think that both of you are comedy superstars and you have the skills to pay the bills. So we're going to start with a Hot Cheeto Hot Seat.
Okay.
Okay, so the Hot Cheeto Hot Seat is a section we sometimes do of rapid fire questions.
So, combining your love for music in your podcast and our love for food, here is our rapid question. So, first question, what's your go-to song for breakup?
Ben, you start.
Oh my god, probably My Life Would Suck. My life would suck without you. Oh my god. Wow.
For a breakup, that Adele song that's like, I go hungry, I go with Make You Feel My Love.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I go deep.
That song.
Yeah, that's very different vibes. I like that. Okay, next question. Go-to song to get ready for a show.
Freakum Dressed by Beyonce.
Oh, Ava, that's so good.
Thanks.
Okay, recently, only because I just started listening to this a lot, London Bridge for
Yes,
Fergie.
Yes,
I
that's good.
mean-
That's good.
She
Fergie.
deserves a time right now. She does not deserve to be in the past. Okay, great.
Go-to song, like when they're used to exist going to dance to a party and we'll be back again. What is the song if they play, you will be like, my song to dance to?
Bossy by Khalees. They never play it at the club though, but that's a banger. Like it still goes
That
on.
is good. Okay, maybe Bad Girls MIA.
Oh yes.
Yes.
that
My
song.
chain hits my chest.
That's when I'm banging.
Correct answers. Both correct. If you could have a snack with any person in history, present or future, who would it be?
Beyonce.
So good.
And what snack?
Bubblicious gum.
Bubblicious gum.
I need that.
Of everything.
I need that for you.
Beyonce chewing gum. Beyonce blowing like a huge bubble.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so good. This is so hard. And I thought about this. Okay. Oh my god, I'm panicking. Marie Antoinette cake.
Okay.
And we'd have cake. How funny is that?
Oh,
So on the
That is
nose.
so good.
that's great.
I love it.
And last question, what food makes you nostalgique?
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, Michelina's microwave pizza.
Oh.
Reminds me of coming home, and my mom was working the late shift, so I had to make myself my dinner.
That's
God.
it.
You know what?
That brought me back.
Probably like dollar store ramen. Dollar store. Just like, because at lunch, that was like on Friday, your parents give you a toonie to get a little treat at the corner store. And
Yes.
And so
Just crush it
spicy.
up.
And it has the little swirly fish cake in it.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Iconic.
Congratulations, you have survived the hot Cheeto hot seat.
Yes.
Okay, we're alive.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was intense. Honestly, my stomach was clenched the
Yeah.
whole time. Like stuff like this, I can't
Yeah.
relax.
Like
I'm
butthole puckered. Yeah.
butthole puckered. I know if I had to poo, I couldn't do it to save my life right now. I ruined your
commitment-
podcast.
No,
Moved on.
but we know we are all about being very committed to the point of pain and suffering to yourself.
Okay.
And I feel like you're both just really aligned with that.
Great.
So thank you.
I love that.
I just wanted to say also that, Ben, you talked about like a few times you were like, am I Latinx enough to like be here right now? And I want to say, as a guest on our show, yes, no questions. You don't need to know any language that isn't the one that you grew up with. We love a migration story. We love a multilingual moment. We love you just as you are. You're
I'm
perfect.
crying.
Yes.
I'm literally crying.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so sweet. Thank you.
So
Oh my
sweet.
god, I love that because my aunts and my cousins would disagree with you, but no, I
be
kid. They love
dragging
me.
you out.
They
And
just
I'm like,
love
we'll
to
do
drag.
because
They're
we
just like-
have them on the phone. Let me connect.
Honestly, that I've had like nightmares where like I look out my bedroom window and my whole family from Argentina is like outside my door like waiting for me. What does that say?
Spanish.
What does that say?
I think it's because I'm not out to some of them. That's it.
Oh, 100%.
That's it.
That's a moment. That's a moment.
And it's like I know that they know that I'm gay, but we've never talked about it because they follow me on Instagram, and it's like
yeah.
I know.
I have family
Yeah.
like that too. That's just my whole family. But
Yeah. That's just
Like
my-
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But thank you for saying that. That's so sweet. Like you.
Yes, it's
God, I'm
true.
blushing.
Like, yeah, the reality of being here is that you are you just as you are, and it's just great. Like, period.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so validating. Thank you. Your podcast is magical. I love it here.
So, because we love your podcast, I listen to it regularly. It's great if you love music and comedy, or if you just love music and you think you're not gonna find comedy while hearing the stories, you will. So everybody needs to go and check out Nostalgique. And
so sweet. Thank
but
you.
we wanna like Hilary Duff said, we wanna go back to the beginning. And we would love to hear what was your meet cute story. Like, how did you two met? And then how did you two decided to do this podcast?
I feel like I've known Ben forever, and that's the issue.
It's
don't
so
remember.
funny. The show where we actually met is kind of like a funny one.
Yes,
because-
yes, say it.
I mean, well, it was that famous QAPD may that organization rest. I'm not going to
Rest
say in peace, but may it just rest.
May it be
period.
away and go
May
away.
it be away.
Yeah.
And we met at that JFL showcase. And I truly think, like, I don't even think I had seen ABBA perform before, but I'd seen you, like, around. Like, I
Yes.
definitely, like, you were in my periphery.
We had met in the cab space very casually, I think, when I was talking
Yes.
to Brandon or something. Yeah.
Total. It was definitely that. And definitely also like whenever there's like a young kind of someone who you're like they're around my age doing
Yes.
stand up, you're hyper aware of them.
Exactly.
Like I'm like my eyes are always and that's where we met. But like I feel like our real meet cute was like Amika's Cheetahs.
Yeah, well, it was so interesting because like after that show, we went downstairs and you gave me a J. This was like 2017, 2018. I don't know,
so
but you
long
gave
ago.
we smoked a little bit and
We did.
I usually don't like smoking in public. I never used to do it before this
Yes.
day, actually. This is so wild. And the only reason I continued to smoke in public is because the weed that you had that day was so good. It was called like Snow White or something.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It was so calming,
Link in the show notes.
Link in the show notes.
so calming, so chill, and we had a really nice gab. And then Brandon was away for that one Amiga's Cheetahs show, and you
Yes.
guys decided that I should host. And so like Ben and I were kind of talking via Facebook, but then we met in person, and that was like our real meeting, kind of. The
Yeah.
first time we ever really like, it was like, okay, we're in this together. Like there
I
were stakes,
know.
you know, like
And I
social
wouldn't-
stakes.
And ABBA looked so gorgeous that night.
Stop, you looked so Gorgina that
You
night.
were wearing this cute, like short, like very. It was like spring, summer, like orangey red, like mini dress, tight.
Oh my
like,
God, thank you.
gorgeous braids, like, like
sweetie.
truly so pretty.
You're wearing your
And-
little booty shorts. They weren't booty
I was
shorts, but I
wearing
like to
booty-
call them booty shorts.
Well,
And
I
your
also
jean
look
jacket.
at my jeans. Those pictures of us too. We look like people who have not experienced a pandemic. Like,
exactly.
It's so sad.
There's so much life in our eyes.
There's so much life. There's so much joy. But we had so much fun. Like, on and off stage, we were just laughing.
Yes.
And then on stage, it was really, like, I remember having so many feelings where being like, we are so funny together.
Yes.
Like, this
Oh my
is
God.
so illegal.
That's cute.
It was, we were just meshing really well. And then after that, it was at the theater center. So we kind of all went and sat with like Liza Paul and a few other people. And we were just talking. And Aiden O'Loughlin, our friend, our mutual friend, comes up to us and he's like, you guys need to start a podcast. Everyone's talking about
And people
it.
were
Start a podcast.
and multiple people, and this sounds like so like
Sounds like
so
such a
many
brag.
people. I know it's such a,
Yeah,
but so many
such a
people,
brag.
like different friend groups who were like different people at the show were coming up to me being like, you guys should start a podcast.
Yes.
And like these were all isolated incidents, and we're like, well, fine, if the public wants it. But ABBA made me die on stage because that was one of the first times. And I'm not gonna make you do your Beyonce impression, but ABBA did a Beyonce impression that like derailed the show for me. Like, I was not on stage at that moment. I was just like, and you could see it. I think there's like actual pictures online of me like throwing my head back. I look like a hyena, like I'm a monster, just like cackling, and you could see ABBA clearly, like, you're doing the Beyonce face.
No. I was
The kind of glaze over the eyes, the kind of.
Honestly, Ben, it's so sweet that you say that because I was trying so hard to keep up with you. I was like, Ben is doing so, like, I was like, I was floored.
my God,
I didn't know.
It
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
funny.
It was really great. There
Yeah.
was really great energy in that room. I felt God in that Chili's that night. And
Oh my God,
Ben just
I
took a drink of water.
almost destroyed my microphone by spitting water.
oh my God. Oh my God.
That
But
was
yeah.
fun.
And the rest is history.
And that was so long ago.
So
It
long
sounds
ago.
too pure to be like post 2020. For sure that
ex-
happened before.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, your attention to detail is impressive. Like, if you
Yeah.
was like, how did you met? And I'm like,
Historical
I don't know. We were two shapes in a room, and we saw each other. And we were wearing clothes. Like, your
Totally.
attention to detail.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to be honest.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked too, but you know what? I'm not shocked because there are memories that I block out, and then there are memories that you kind of like
that you
that you kind of hold on to.
Yeah.
And also in these days, it's like when I miss just like seeing people performing, it's like I literally will look at pictures on my phone and literally just search like, you know how like on iPhones you could do like faces or something?
Yeah.
I'll look at like, I'll tap like ABBA's face or maybe like Brandon's face and I'll look at like memories. It's sad. It's
You're
like
gonna make
not.
me cry. I do that every day.
No.
Or you go on like maps and you like look at like, this is the
places
time I
we
was
used
in
to
the
go to.
junction.
Wow. Okay, well, speaking of which, like, how do you think the pandemic has affected your relationship with nostalgia?
Well, oh my
That's
God,
such
I
a
love
good
this question
question.
so much. It's a great question.
When I read that on the email, I was like, wow.
From the email, from the get. Because your podcast is called Nostalgique. So obviously, even before this whole time, you had a certain interest in nostalgia. And just like, what do you think?
For me, it was very much this thing of like, sorry, my hair is stuck in the headphones. It was very much this thing of like, I don't know, at the beginning of quarantine, I woke up every day and was very much like, I can't believe this is happening. And so I kind of lived that first like lockdown in a daze where I was kind of just listening to music, eating, cleaning, like really decorating my room because I knew I was going to be in there a lot, and kind of just going on walks. So after like a few months after that, when things started opening back up, I would start looking at that first lockdown as like months ago. Like I thought about it as if it was like the year prior, because time felt so elastic because we're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And I feel like I'm nostalgic for things that technically don't fit within the parameter of what nostalgia is. Like, it's really weird that, like, you know, I think about experiences that happened literally just a few months ago as if they happened when I was a child. Like, the feeling that they give me is very visceral, as if I'm so far removed from it. And I think it's just the thing of like literally living in a cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. So for me, nostalgia is like, I'm not even nostalgic for things that like happened to me as a kid. I'm like, I would love to go back to a few months ago. It's really weird. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, the same way. And even with like music, especially like I'm listening to bands like albums that came out like just before COVID.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes. Like I remember my
I remember
idol
that
carefree
day.
days listening to like
For me, it was Fiona Apple.
Fiona Apple.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Or I guess maybe like whatever, like the new Real Estate album or
Yeah.
something. Like I would listen to something like that in the spring before COVID, and now I listen to it and it reminds me of just like before. Everything feels like pre-pandemic now. Like I feel like this is such a hallmark of our lives at this point, where like
Yes.
everything feels like, oh yeah, before the pandemic. The great before, as they say to borrow a phrase from Gen Z.
Sure.
I don't even know if they say that.
I don't know.
Great before. I don't know.
Yeah.
I totally resonate with that. Like I've started listening to bands that I listened to in high school, which I didn't ever voluntarily do. And then I found my old Tumblr, bro.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, and I have gone through it, and I am the person I am today because that Tumblr, bro. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there are gems on there. So yeah, it's weird. Like what kind of times do you go back to for sure?
If someone found my oh my god,
Nope. No.
I'm literally,
I can't think about it.
I'm kid you not, the minute this ends, I'm logging onto Tumblr and seeing and like making sure I deleted it because it was.
We're gonna put it on the show notes. I'm joking, man.
Monica's hacking.
And I'm
my
like,
Tumblr.
I already found it. It's already out there. No, I'm joking.
It was. I mean, yeah, the stuff I would.
Yeah.
What's it? Reblog, I guess they would.
The reblog for sure.
I
The
hope no
poetry.
one finds my old Tumblr because there's a bunch of nudes.
Oh bless. You were one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Respect.
cell. Oh my god, this is. I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud. I'm gonna say it. There is
Say
a there is a black and white picture of me on my Tumblr, black and white, with and it was like a friend's, and not even like a photo shoot for like school. It was just like in my friend's like bathroom where I'm shirtless. Number one, have running like mascara as if I've been crying. And it's just like pictures of me just like looking dramatic in a tub, shirtless as if I've been crying with It's what? They're heinous. They're heinous. I'm literally like 15 in them. But at the time when I posted them, I literally was like, this is high fashion. Like I might get discovered because of this.
Literally. All I'm hearing from that is you were a young homosexual man
Yeah, it's
on
literally.
Tumblr. Just
I feel like
expressing yourself.
No, my Tumblr was so private, so I don't even know.
Okay.
It was I always had like there were a couple of people who followed me who like were my friends who had like big Tumblrs, and when they would repost my stuff, I would secretly hope to go become like Tumblr famous.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So cute.
Nostalgia though.
Yeah, nostalgia's wild in
It is.
quarantine.
Yeah.
I really even like listening to or just like watching. I've been watching a lot of movies now, which is weird because like at first I had no attention span for that, but now I'm like I need to like do something for my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
And I'm watching like movies that I saw in high school that I were like, oh, these were really good, like stuff like Fargo or whatever. Like I don't know, No Country for Old Men. I just watched a bunch of old Coen Brothers movies, but I will rewatch them and be like, I'm a different person watching this, but this movie has stayed the same.
Yeah.
And it kind of that makes me feel weird because I'm like. And then I'm like, if I'm enjoying it different, or if I'm enjoying it the same amount, have I not grown? You know what I mean? It's very kind of that, or like, oh, I'm like still reacting at the same parts. I'm like, have I not been like intellectually brewing this whole time?
I hope you have a diary or a journal where you're keeping log of this. Yeah, I love both of you so much. Because I love it because the way we do our podcast is like a little bit like the structure we follow is really like structure and yes, conversational, but I love that both of you, when I listen to your podcast, it makes me feel nostalgique because I feel like I'm with my friends at a bar or at someone's house and I'm just
I love that. I love
talking to my friends. So for me, it's like a nostalgia thing that I had is listening to both of you and going memory lane with some artists, but also just both of you. I just feel we're just talking. It's good. It's like
That is so
nobody
sweet.
can hear me respond, but it's beautiful.
Oh my God. Monica,
my
we
favorite.
can hear your response.
Yeah, every
We
time
can.
you say, "Oh, I think so too," I'm like, "Thank you for agreeing with me."
Talking about your podcast, we want to know what is the weirdest or most shocking fact that you have learned about a pop star or / artist while doing Nostalgique.
There's been a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
my God.
think
Yeah. No, you
Go,
go.
Ben.
I was gonna say one common thing that I learn about a lot is like how, and it's more like just upsetting, is how many, and mostly like women artists and mostly women of color, Black women, have just been like scammed out of all their money. That's always like the most upsetting thing. That's just like common with like, I mean, anytime throughout the 90s to 2000s, I'm like, now I just think of any artist who like was working then. I'm like, I guess they weren't making a cent. Like that's just what I've kind of gleaned from this. But one thing super wild is learning that how many people are like super religious. Like that's always like Brandon Flowers is like Mormon. I did not
Mormon,
know. From The Killers.
I knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's very weird. It's very
Respect to Mormons, I guess. I just don't like that guy.
he's a weirdo. He's specifically
He's a weirdo.
And it's so funny how attached that is to his like persona, because the guest that we had on that episode, Jordan Foisey, was also very like, no, he's weird, and that's the number one thing that stands out about him. Yeah. I think for me, one thing that's shocking that stood out was that it's a very specific thing. It's less of a theme and more of like an incident. But when we had Chelsea Larkin, comedian, improviser, Chelsea Larkin on the podcast, she talked about heart, and she talked about one of the sisters. I can't remember her name, but one of the sisters kind of she couldn't get pregnant, and she didn't like having sex with her husband. So she one day picked up a hitchhiker, cheated on her husband with him, never talked to the hitchhiker again, and then got pregnant by him, and then wrote a song about it, literally explaining the entire situation. And I just think that's so wild.
That is
her.
so wild.
Take what you want from the world, bitch.
Right?
That's amazing.
So wild to me.
Honestly, some of the and this is like the last thing like anyone wants to hear when asking this question, but like some of the craziest stuff I've heard now I'm thinking about it is off the pod. Like before the Zoom starts.
People that we don't even know that well, like truly are meeting for the first time on the podcast, will come on and like we'll do the whole like recording, and then we'll be talking casually after, and they just divulge information. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Ben and I make them feel comfortable enough to do that, but the shit that we learn.
Because I think the first hour, and this is me just playing armchair therapist, but I think like the first hour for them is maybe like them kind of getting used to it, and then they're opening up, and then I think by like this, like by the end of that hour, they feel hot. They feel like, I want to keep going. Like I've got stories to tell, and then I think now that we're not recording, and there's definitely like an energy shift when you stop recording. It's kind of like a like great work, everybody. Kind of like thanks, and like I feel like that type of vibe feels very like.
And we're very gossipy. We're very like gay gossip. We're very like
totally. And I definitely
feel like it incites that in people.
And I definitely kind of want to bring it out of them too. I love hearing gossip, and I'm definitely the type of person where people have been telling me gossip ever since I came out. Literally, people love telling gay people gossip. We know this. Gay people, we just have our ears are just a little bit bigger for gossip.
They're like, we
know how to keep something in the closet. Exactly.
Yeah. But you know, so what I've learned, I went to this conference the other day on the internet, and they were saying how gossip in the queer community, it's also a way to keep each other safe. Like it was like, because sometimes you don't know who to trust, so gossip is actually not a bad tool in some ways.
I could get Abba, please go.
No, I was just gonna say that I absolutely agree with that. In a lot of marginalized communities, gossip is like it's a double-edged sword, because it can definitely lead to like WhatsApp threads of like, you know, coronavirus is caused by 5G, and drama. But it very much is a thing of like learning who is safe to be around. Like I remember we were told not to gossip when I worked retail at the body shop, but the only other Black girl first day I worked there was like, we're the only Black people here. Listen, if anything happens that you don't feel comfortable with, if anyone's rude to you, don't go to the HR department. They work for the company. Come to me and we'll figure this shit out together. So yeah, it is a safety thing. Yeah.
It's so true. Like we don't, and I feel like there's, I don't know, like straight men, like straight cis men have like bro code and whatever. Like I feel like those type of dynamics exist within like those types of communities, but in queer communities I feel like I just think like femme people in general, people are quick to criticize, I don't know, just like camaraderie as being like, oh well, you're being a bitchy gossip just because it's like clicky that type of vibe. And it's like, No, it's like, this is literally community building.
There's that concept chisme in Spanish, which is like kind of like gossip, but not. And totally, it's described the same thing. Like, we can't trust you, so we're not going to talk to you directly. We're going to talk around you.
Yeah.
And I think
Very interesting.
And I also think that like gossip, you know, especially because we live in an English colony up here, there's so many like Christian moral values and the culture that comes with that, which is like, we're not going to talk back or bad about anyone ever. And if we do, you're bad. And it's like, how about you stop colonizing us?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's totally it as well. This podcast is great.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so clearly you are both comedy superstars. We know this. How did you come to the realization that making people laugh was your calling?
This is so wild. Ben, you want to go first?
Maybe I'll go. Because I've
ready?
always known.
Oh, okay.
No, no, I mean, I guess, like, I mean, it's such, and I literally, like, I'm rolling my eyes at myself as I'm saying this, but, like, I'm sure we all can identify with that thing of, like, growing up queer, growing up marginal, like, you're just, like, you're a bit more internal, you're kind of a bit more cerebral because, like, you don't have a lot of friends, or you're, like, you're on the outside or whatever. So I feel like that kind of just, like, made me a bit more, like, observational, I guess. But aside from that, like, I literally just love, like, school was boring to me. Hated teachers telling me what to do. Literally just was bonkers to me that I had to do anything. And I just loved to gab. And it wasn't even about making the class laugh. It was just about making, like, the girl at my table laugh. Like, my girlie beside me. Like, she was my audience and I was making her laugh. And, like, that was it. And, like, I just love that so much. Like, that type of... I just love, like, the inside jokes are, like, the teacher kind of says something, and then you turn your friend, and you're like, oh, my God, like, and, like, she's laughing, and, like, they're not supposed to. Like, that, to me, is, like, my favorite. That's my favorite still. Like, even then, I'm kind of like, I love, like, I want to do that now. So it was kind of that, because, like, the class clown vibe, like, I never identified, because I was always, like, the hockey playing boy who's kind of, like, just saying, like, a Family Guy joke, and everyone in the class like, oh, yeah, that's from Family Guy. And like, and me, obviously, an intellectual, the David Sedaris of my classroom, if you will, was just kind of like, I'm going to wait until I get older and a little bit more refined.
Ben, you're speaking to something that's just honestly so galaxy brain. Like, so this concept of like the class clown versus just like, you know, wanting community, like class clown, like they're taking up the teacher's time by just wanting attention. But like you and I were very, very similar kids where it was the banter. It was the banter. It was the, as Nigerians say, the gist. Like it's this like, I can't explain it any other way other than through an onomatopoeia. It's like the it's like
100% though.
Yes,
totally.
Very
clear.
You know, like that type of lifestyle. I think that people who enjoy culture eventually
lifestyle.
That's so good. It's the finger. It's the fingers too that you're doing as well.
There's
it's
like
the fingers.
Yes. It's this joy to want to connect. And I think that people who experience that when they're younger go on to work in culture and arts because they just have like an affinity for that. But for me, I knew I was funny within my family because my family is hilarious. But I was also a very bad kid, so I said funny stuff all the time. And then as I got older, I got a guilt complex. So I'd be like not funny at home, but fucking hilarious at school. But it got me in a lot of trouble. But it's not like I was trying to disrupt the class. I was just trying to gab with my girls because it's all about the bands. And so as I got older, I knew that the more I got in trouble for talking and being funny. And I think that is a product of colonialism. Is taking away a child's personality when they're younger and saying that it's disrupting the class. But so I experienced a lot of that. So I kind of just like was like, I'll be funny with my friends and be serious about school and become a journalist. But I also knew that I really, really enjoyed performing in theater. So I eventually just got into U of T for theater. And then my friend Lucas Loizu was in a sketch troupe, the UC Follies, and they were recruiting people. And every year he asked me, and every year I said no because I never thought it was funny. I never thought I was funny, despite like growing up watching SNL and Mad TV and like trying to do my own stand-up like in my room by myself. I just had this fear that I was never good at it. But then I tried sketch, and eventually they forced me into doing stand-up. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, okay, I am funny. Like, I can make a crowd of people laugh. And yeah.
It's so funny to think of you as someone who's like, I'm not funny, because I was like so, because
That's
you're like
so hilarious, Ben. I just
so
think
funny.
I'm mean. I just think I'm mean and like
oh my
I'm just very-
god.
yeah.
That is, yeah, my mind is blown about this whole, the culture. Because that is,
Culture,
because
yeah.
that's literally, and now I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, that's why I got into theater as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, because like, I wasn't like watching like movies and seeing myself or seeing like my family really
Yes.
represented. Or like whatever, and like I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be like Tom Hanks or whatever. Like I wasn't that. So like I realized like I got into theater really because I just wanted to just kiki with my friends and just like
Yes.
kind of have fun. And it just seemed like, oh, like there are all these other activities that people do, like sports and stuff, and like theater just seems like whatever, the best one. And like I feel like that's why comedy, because I mean theater also is a little bit.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, please.
But I just want to. No, do you have more to say?
No, I was just gonna say like theater was like a natural progression to comedy because theater was a little bit like that, because I was starting to feel a little bit like pushed in by theater.
Yes.
You know, a little
yes.
bit kind of boxed
Me
in.
too. Me too.
And then comedy, you're like, oh, like I can really let my freak flag fly here.
And on top of that, I think this natural progression that you're speaking of, I think that is incubated in your youth and just like socializing. And I think that people like us love socializing so much and love having that community, and that just so much that it's like when you can recreate that in a scene and make it feel authentic, it's like the next level. You know, you're just leveling up and like, yeah.
Oh, but this is true galaxy brain.
Oh my
So I'm like,
God.
that's what improv is. Like improv is just heightened conversation and reality. Like
We're psychologists.
we're
Thank
psychologists.
you, Dr. Amuquandoh and Dr. Sosa Wright. Thank you for being here on the pod.
Thank you.
Oh my god. The medical community released an article right after being like, do not listen to a word these imposters have said. They
That's
are leading you astray.
Don't listen to them. Here are their Tumblr handles.
And I just wanted to say, you said you were interested in journalism for a bit, Abba. Like, I feel like journalism is also like gossip. It's like, here's what I heard about this.
Yes, and I think that a lot of journalists who are good at their job and who stand on the right side of history are naturally incredibly funny.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Incredibly funny. Yeah. So
Totally.
think it
I
all
feel
goes
like
hand in hand.
I feel like most good writing, and like maybe this is just because I'm seeking out humor because I like comedy, but I feel like most good writing is always a little bit funny. Even at like the darkest shit you'll read, there'll be a line where you're like, this author's funny. Like this author gets it. This writer gets it.
yeah.
And journalism literally, especially if you're not like a hack journalist, you're like seeking to like uncover the truth. You're looking for justice. You're looking for like social justice, hopefully. And I feel like, I mean, from what I know about you, Abba, I'm sure that was the journalism you're leaning towards.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Correct.
For sure.
You're like, no, I was a sports journalism.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is there's something queer about that as well.
Yes, and I
There's
think
something gay about having rights.
exactly. And just speaking of being gay, I feel like having to be gay requires you to have a very strong knowledge of the world around you. And so does any type of marginalization. And most of the people who are writing and writing anything good are writing about marginalization, are writing about just how the world operates. And I find that those type of people follow a lot of comedians, and good comedians. Like, I feel like comedians can be a good barometer of what is happening socially, what needs to be said. And then obviously there's the dark side of that where it's just a bunch of fucking assholes just saying racist shit.
Hell yeah.
So talking about that and talking about comedy and queer and racialized people in comedy. So imagine you meet a queer racialized cutie who wants to start comedy. And what advice would you give to them?
I'd say three things. I'd say be nice, but be a bitch. And find people who look like you. Because I think that there is... I don't know. Sometimes when people enter like any type of industry, they're like, it's that whole lean in perspective of like, you gotta be more like a man. And I feel like sometimes with the way that we award people in the comedy field, it's like by how individual they are. Like one person's individual success is the thing that everyone's kind of aspiring to, and that one person is always like some white guy. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's very much this thing where when I first started comedy, I didn't like people who were like that, who were like, I'm a woman, I'm a queer person, I'm non-binary, but I'm going to replicate this white man's behavior. Because if he can do it, then I can do it. It's like, no, nobody should be doing it. Like, you can have a different outlook on and perspective about your career and the way that you treat others. So I think that, you know, be nice, because it helps you create a community. And when you find that community, you can be more of a bitch because you have backup now. So you can stand up for yourself. Because if you don't have community and you're a bitch, guess what? People aren't going to trust you, and they're going to be like, look, you and what army? And be a bitch by, I mean, stand up for yourself and stand up for those who are marginalized. And then lastly, like, find people who look like you, because half of the opportunities I get are because people like you, Monica, Ben, Coco, Brandon, those are the people who message me and are like, apply for this, submit for this, write for this. I was telling this person about you. And I'm sure that my white counterparts and cohorts who are male also probably do those things. But I know for a very fact that it's always people of color and queer people who are constantly doing that for me. So that's my advice for a young queer.
That's the best advice. Literally,
if
you're write that down, if you're
it's insane. You might get in trouble, actually.
That's literally the best advice there is. And like, I feel like what you said about how like people replicating, like, and like I like John Mulaney or whatever, but it's like how people, they're like kind of these three comedian archetypes that people strive to be. And I think like the only time I ever realized I was like, oh, maybe I could do comedy was seeing like, I don't know, like
Julio Torres, or
John
Sykes.
Early,
like John Early,
Bowen Yang, like people like that. And you're like, oh, so it's like you gotta find community. And I love, be a bitch is the best advice there is. No, I was just gonna say, never, if the show poster is ugly and the host of the show is a straight white man, it'll be a bad show. The audience will not be there for you. And you're better off without it, even if it's like you think it'll help you.
Write that down.
Write that fucking down.
I'm
and
sorry.
Honestly, to go off of that, because that is really fucking good advice, if it's a white older man who's producing the show and he doesn't have like a Vice vibe to him, if his aesthetic isn't like, I'm going to a cafe at like 7 a.m. and writing, I don't think it's worth being on that show. And that kind of guy, you know, the guy that's drinking a coffee and writing in a leather notebook at the
like a tube
coffee shop. Yeah, he's not the best guy either, but aesthetically, the show will be cool and it'll be funny.
Yeah. That's the best advice I've heard of. That you could take that to the bank, actually.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But also, like, all that said, also don't do comedy.
Don't do comedy. Why are you doing comedy? It's oversaturated. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know. It's like I'm sure you have so many more beautiful gifts to offer.
Become a doctor. We need more doctors.
Yes, become a doctor.
Amazing. Okay, so every episode, we ask our current guest to pose a question to the next guest so we can keep the conversation going across borders, languages, practices, all that. So you two are being asked a question by our guest from the last episode, who is a proud nation member of the Syilx and Tsilhqot'in nations out west. Kim Senclip Harvey. She's amazing. Google her. She's like so great. She's a fire creator, an indigenous theorist, and a cultural evolutionist. And she just defended her thesis like a couple weeks ago. So we're super psyched for her.
Nice.
But she's studying memory right now. And her question is for you both. And literally, we didn't know we were going to interview you. And it's just so perfect, this question she asked. So the question is there a memory that brings you pure, real joy and ecstasy that you think about often, that ignites you when you think about it?
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. I want to cry.
Aww.
I want to cry.
Oh, wow. This is so cosmically meant to be.
I know.
I really love that.
I know.
Oh, wow.
Taurus
First
season.
shop.
Ben is a Taurus.
Yes!
It's fine.
I love it. Oh my God. Okay, Ben is a Taurus, and honestly, that is
Me too.
and
know.
so is Monica. That is such a. I'm a
Vibe.
Virgo. I
love
get along
Virgos.
so well with
Yeah.
Tyrion. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are you, Camila?
I'm a Libra sun, Virgo moon. So I got some Virgo in me.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Virgo.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that.
Oh, there's so much Taurus in the room.
Oh my God. Okay, a memory. This is a great question for Tyrians because y'all love to remember.
I know.
I love to live.
Yes.
Oh my God. I feel like, oh my God. Okay. I guess like, and like this is so like I feel like sense memory is like such a like people are always like scent triggers memory, but like, and this is I think lately because I've been getting such wanderlust. I like have like smell like fantasies of places I've like traveled to in the past, and like going to Argentina as a kid was always like, and I feel like it's like one of those things, especially like spending my whole life in North America and Canada and then going to like Argentina like every couple of years for like a couple of months, you're always like, it's culture shock vibes. But like a big thing was always like the smell and how like it always kind of smell like smoky, kind of like gritty industrial, but there's and you know, like you go to like a Latin country, there's like a vibe, there's like a smell, and it's kind of, I don't know, I've kind of been like when I think about that, it makes me feel like vacation, which is obviously like carefree thing. Also makes me think about like family and stuff. Makes me think about warmth.
Yes.
So I feel like that's like something that definitely, when I think about, I really like feel all those things like viscerally. I was probably gonna say like, I don't know, like America's Next Top Model, but like I'm surprised that like that came out.
No, and I agree with you, Ben, because for me it's such a hard thing to pin down. I feel like I don't often find myself always going back to specific memories and longing for it again. I find myself like going back and like thinking about like scent and like the sense of like in the summer when it's like dusk and it's like kind of pinky, kind of purpley blue, and there's kind of like barbecue smells in the air, and it's kind of like humid, and there's kind of like the sense of like a little bit of cigarettes and like a little bit of like beer. And just being warm and outside, and you're a bit tipsy, and you're gonna go home and like just go to sleep. I love that.
That is like the best sleep of your life.
And that is youth for me. I feel like when I am 50, I will look back and be like, I was experiencing youth at that point. I don't know if I answered that question.
No, you did. You both did.
So beautiful.
It's so good. I feel like I got transported.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I was smelling so much smells.
I love.
The second part of that question is, if you could ask a question of a fellow artist in the Americas on this big body of land, what would it be? And you can both ask one.
What do people do to like experience joy? Like what is that to them? Like, I don't know. For me, it's like joy to me is like if I wake up early on a Sunday, I get all my tasks done and run my errands and go for a little walk and like come home, I take a shower, I'm in bed by 6. And I smoke a little bit of weed and I'm watching a movie. That is like the apex of joy for me.
And now that I know you're a Virgo, all of that tracks so much.
I know. I was thinking this.
And I'm like, what is that for somebody else? Okay, this is the question. That's my ideal Sunday. What is this person's ideal Sunday? I don't know why of all the questions to ask, that's the one I'm really curious about.
That's a really good way to get to know someone, I think. Because everyone's like, I feel like everyone's like, oh, here are these fun activities I like to do. I'm like, no, who are you? And no one's watching.
Exactly.
That's it. I love that. Oh my God. And when you say anyone in the Americas, I'm like, this could be for anyone, I guess. Okay. This is actually something. Because I feel like being like an artist in Toronto, Canada, it feels like the ceiling or like whatever the video game I've established in my brain is like, gotta get to America to succeed and gotta get X, Y, and Z to succeed. And I feel like that is such a North American ideal. Like I feel like and I guess it like depends on like where you are, like whatever. But I feel like, I don't know, the notion of celebrity here is so ingrained in like, even like just like minute artistic decisions I make, I still in the back of my mind is like, will this make me famous though? And I guess my question is like, how do you create like art free of that like ego, like kind of driving that like hungry? And I do have Virgo in my chart, so Virgo moon.
Maybe.
And Capricorn rising.
Capricorn rising. Stop. Me too, though.
Ben,
it.
okay,
wait,
we're
really?
all made for
Yes.
each other. What the fuck?
Wait, I need to search mine. I
And
have
This
it.
is
Taurus is
Monica's
ruled by Venus, and Venus rules Libra as well. It reads
Oh my
Taurus and Venus.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
interesting. Virgo is also very compatible with Scorpio.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and
It was written in the stars.
yeah.
That's what we say.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I love that.
We have one last question. This podcast is called Merendiando, which means snack time in Spanish. We want to know, what is your favorite snack right now? And it can be food or a book or anything that is fueling you right now, and a snack for a soul.
I take
for
a
the
bite
soul.
out. I take a bite out of my book right now. I'm like,
Infinite
paper.
jest. Delicious.
Infinite jest.
For me, it's okay. So I had tried this cookie before in my youth, but I rediscovered it when I was on my way to Halifax, because they have it in the little COVID-19 like safety kit that comes with your water and your snack that they give you on the plane, and it's Biscoff. Biscoff biscuits. And
Yes.
they're kind of like a little bit gingery, but really molassesy, and they kind of just snap. Oh, I love it. It's so good.
Oh my god, Biscoff is having a moment because Biscoff has like that cookie butter spread.
Yes,
and it's
yes.
everywhere now. This is
Cookie
okay.
butter, yes.
I need to try. I need to try it. Because I've never had.
But I love just the biscuit itself.
Okay. I didn't know that it was gingery. Whenever I saw it, I was
Teeny
picturing it
bit,
tastes like a
teeny
graham cracker.
A little, yes, like a graham cracker, but then with like a hit of spice, molasses, a tiny bit of gingery, cinnamony, nutmeggy.
I love. Oh my god, I love this question. What would you if I was like, I'm reading the Odyssey? No, I'm kidding.
Straight up. That's happened, though.
One of my secrets is I do read, and that's
You
why.
do.
And
You're very smart. You act like you don't like to read. You love to read.
It's my secret because. But here's the thing: I like to read, but like whenever I like open my mouth to talk about books, I'm like, I think I just like reading, but I can't talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I can't say anything other than that, like I liked it or I didn't. I'm
Or
like,
this was queer coded. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or I'm like, I love the gay shit in this
Yes.
chapter.
Yeah.
But snack wise, I love cereal, and I got, and I love all spectrums of cereal. I will get like a healthy. Actually, I'm literally not healthy. Like Special K vanilla almond, I guess is not a health
No,
cereal,
but like that's
it
health
is.
coded, if you will.
health coded,
health
exactly.
coded, yeah.
I'll do that, or like a Reese Puffs or a Lucky Charms. Like I go all over. But brown sugar mini wheats, so good.
Very good.
I love them so much. Monica shaking her head.
I don't know them.
You don't. Okay, Monica. Here's what you're gonna do.
And I'm like, I don't know. I grew up with Zucaritas. I don't know.
Nestle, big time.
You're gonna love her. You're gonna love her. It's just it's sugary. It's sweet. It's wheat. It's literally like it's healthy. It's grains.
Yes, of course.
right?
Of course.
But it's
No
so
questions
good.
asked.
Right?
Health.
And I mean, you know what I love about a mini wheat is like some of them like have like a fair amount of frosting, but you know when you get that one that has like truly like a thick, crunchy outer shell, and you bite and you get a bite of just the brown sugar frosting, that to me, and I've never, hand to God, I've never done heroin in my life, but I could only assume that that's what the feeling of heroin is like, is truly biting on that crunchy, crunchy, crunchy brown sugar mini wheat. It's just like something, and it's always at like 2 a.m. and I'm sitting on my kitchen counter chewing softly as to not wake up my parents.
You're depraved.
Can
I
you
am
please
depraved.
do a sketch about doing a commercial about this cereal? And it's literally
It's
everything
just
you
drugs.
just said. And
That's
then
very
it ends with, it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
But I highly recommend mini wheats, brown sugar, very good. I got so serious just then. I was like,
Very
jokes
good.
aside, everybody, it's
Very good.
very good.
I just, well, I
Okay.
just want to say, like, a snack for the soul for everyone who's listening. Go listen to Nostalgique
Oh, that's
big
podcast.
time.
That will be our recommendation.
Thank you.
It will
so
feed you.
so good.
Yes.
And just follow both of these amazing artists and comedians. Like, you both are so amazing. I love to see them in my screen when I see TV.
Yeah.
ABBA.
Live stream shows. It's all happening.
TikTok, like, you're everywhere.
Stop, thank you.
I love both of you. Like, now that we turn into talk about you, you both are like, no.
I love
Thank
being
you.
on the show. Thank you so much. The show is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You two are so freaking smart. Like, it's been such a great time.
This was so much fun. I literally like sometimes doing a podcast like gives me so much fear. Like I'm like,
Yes.
because like our podcast, it feels like, yeah, like I can do whatever I want. This is my
Yes.
house.
Yes,
And then you go to
exactly.
another but like right away I was like, oh, this is just
Oh,
I'm
good.
just hanging with
we're
my
at
roots.
home.
Like, we're just at
Exactly.
home. Like
Yeah.
this
So
is just
sweet.
fun.
I'm so happy you were here. Go listen to Nostalgique.
We are speaking to you from the shores of this beautiful Zaga Igan, known to some as Lake Ontario, in Toronto, or Dougarondo. This is the ancestral territory of the Haudenosaunee, or Longhouse Confederacy, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum and Treaty 13, also known as the Toronto Purchase.
Araluna, we remember that people can begin to heal when they are hurt. We are committed to artful participation in disagreements. We are committed to unsettling ourselves towards connection, respect, and justice for all people who now live in this city, which has been a meeting place since time immemorial.
Radio Aluna Theatre is produced by Aluna Theatre, with support from the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Department of Canadian Heritage, and the Metcalfe Foundation.
Aluna Theater is Beatriz Pisano and Trevor Shelness with Sue Ballant. Radio Aluna Theater is produced by Mónica Garrido and Camila Díaz Varela. For more about Aluna Theater, visit us at alunatheater.ca, follow at Aluna Theater on Twitter or Instagram, or like us on Facebook.
Miigwech and Nyawangoa.